Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead. I get emails from you kids, as I alluded to yesterday, that I haven't heard from that have done deals. I was just reading one just now. Canadian mouse moved to Florida, has done 5 healthcare deals in about 13 months. Left his family. I'm not recommending that. So don't get me, I don't want a bunch of shit from wives and shit. But he left his family. He was serious. Pardon? No. Who said 5 kids? I mean, he's a Goomba. I mean, he's got spaghetti for fucking brains. And use the mic. No. 5 deals. 5 deals, not the 5 kids.
I understand that. You said the Canadian guy. I thought it was that one.
No. That's tragic. When all of a sudden you wake up and you see all these little shit, we used to call them curtain climbers. Yeah, curtain climbers, the kids. And you ask yourself, why the fuck am I here? There's not a married man alive that hasn't woke up one morning and thought that. Not even the Murph. What the fuck am I doing here? Today we're going to talk, we're going to do the chairman, what do you call it again? We're going to talk about the magic 60-40 deal and show you 2 examples. One example is how not to do it, but it still got done, which you're going to do, because even though I show you the numbers, what not to do, that's exactly what you're going to do. And then we show you what you're supposed to do, the 60-40, which very few of you will do it right, because you're scared and you do anything to get a deal done so you don't look like a fool to your family. Why'd you spend all that fucking money to get berated by that old man and then you can't even do a fucking deal? It's worse than not for you guys. You can't get it up at night or in the morning to get fucked. It's worse than that by a multiple of 1,000. And then we're going to talk about goals and affirmations and my goals and how quickly they came to fruition. This is no accident that my life followed very closely the pattern of Andrew Carnegie. And I spent my 75th birthday at his estate here in Scotland. It's not a coincidence. What are the odds when I set my goals 40 years ago? What are the odds? 1 in a trillion? But I had that in my mind wherever I went. I just didn't want to be 3'8" like he was. And when you go into the castle, the doors aren't short, but the door handles are. Which it took me a couple of days to figure out. Because normally when you and I'm tall, but most people are just fine. But anyway. So it's not a coincidence that Skibo and the Guthrie are similar. It's not a coincidence. Because he was my, as you would say in this day and age, my virtual mentor. I guess, I don't know what you call him anyway. And a lot of kids get confused when they read the Napoleon Hill stuff, that he had Lincoln and all these people as his dream team. Well, needless to say, that was a virtual dream team. But some of you meatheads, I swear to God, and I'm not going to embarrass you because I used to ask and try to embarrass you, make you look like shit. That's in the days when we had people piss and shit their pants in the seminar. Because I ridiculed and emasculated them so. But I'm kind of a softer Dan now. Although we've had, when Brian QLA Rose came, and I bet you he didn't say this to his following, when he was at the hardcore, the kid sitting next to him collapsed in a seizure, throwing up all over Brian in his new suit. Brian was only interested in the fact his suit got ruined. He didn't give a fuck if the guy died. We had 3 doctors in the room. Not one of them came up to help the guy. Not one. A nurse finally came up. One of the Australian doctors went over and kicked him and rolled him off his side. And then the nurse pulled his tongue out of his mouth or out of his throat or wherever it happened. That's the real world. Because if the doctors had touched him, then he fucking died, they'd get sued. Anyway, back to this. So we're going to talk about goals and affirmations and how quickly they can come to fruition if you do them religiously. And as I've told you already, I still do my affirmations and my goals. I was tired last night, so I find myself, as I said a couple of days ago, skipping or reading too fast. Normally, word for word, but I skipped through a few last night because I have 23 affirmations. And the affirmations for my family, my kids, my children have changed over the years from the time when before they were born. I wanted them to be born safely with 2 hands and 2 feet. And then when they got into, I wanted them to be potty trained as soon as humanly possible. And then, so then when they got out of graduate school, I wanted them to find the right girl, the right guy. And that all happened, though. And Brian, if he were here, and I don't know how much he shares with his millions that follow him, but he says affirmations change his life. So you said that you've seen the transformation in QLA Rose. Well, affirmations changed his life. He didn't believe in them. Last night you saw Steve. I don't know Steve. Alpha male. What do you think? Or what do you think? We already know he's not you. I say it chucking, laughing. That's a fucking understatement. Yeah, yes, sir.
He has a sales background making him successful.
He has what?
Sales background.
He doesn't know anything about anything. He doesn't know software from a fucking hot iron. But he's a selling motherfucker. And you want to know why, right? Yes, sir.
He also likes to listen to himself. He was constantly talking. And
he does. A lot of us
like
do. A lot of us do. I can relate to that. Mr. Trump can relate to that. Yeah. And he also said that he knew that this was going to be on YouTube forever, so he didn't say one bad word. I said only fuck twice at Oxford. And then when I said it the first time, I turned to the moderator. Well, I don't know what they call him anyway. But he was my mentee, the kid, Oxford student. And I said, I'm not supposed to say this. You already did, Mr. Peña. And then they had had a lot of attractive people, girls there. But the mothers were more attractive. And there was a cutie pie in the second row wearing a gold sweater. And I know she didn't wear that tight gold sweater just because it was the trend. And then there was another one about where you are in the back that was wearing a tight red sweater. Hey, cutie, you with a gold sweater. You had a question? And you're not supposed to call people cutie. I was going to call her, hey, tits, but I didn't do that. I was calmed down. And then, but I did say the one in the red, hey, you with the, and I hesitated, red sweater. But what else about Mr. Malmer? Yes, sir.
He's really enthusiastic.
Yeah, you're just telling me the obvious. I mean, come on, guys. Jesus Christ. Of course, he's an enthusiastic salesman. He sweats and he jumps up and down. Just the opposite of you. Yeah.
Obvious fact. Bill Gates is a pussy. And he's an
introvert.
He needed someone who is opposite of him.
Absolutely.
Ballmer was a bull. He was a killer.
Correct.
He doesn't know.
Still
shit.
is, by the way.
He doesn't know shit about what he's doing.
He doesn't know shit about anything.
Anything. But he can just knock anybody out.
He rams it down your throat. They used to say Peña will ram it down through your teeth through your esophagus and come out your rectum. I may be wrong, but I'm never in fucking doubt. Never. Just the antithesis. Even when you believe in something, you don't sound like Balmer. And we know why?
Self-sabotaging activities.
And self-esteem and all the things. And who caused that? Your rum-dum, Nimrod, brain-dead parents. What else about Mr. Balmer? They were afraid when he bought the Clippers, because of his personality, that he was going to fuck it all up. And he's gone, I'm informed, he's gone out of his way to stay out of the management. One, he says, I don't know anything about basketball, which is true. He changed the paradigm of valuations of sports teams by paying up. He paid $2 billion or something, a little more than that. And the guy that he bought, the league forced the guy that sold it. He was a racist fucking guy. Everybody knew. In Southern California, he was a racist, and then he got caught on camera saying it. Guys, all these guys are nothing. Like I told, the voodoo shit here. I mean, these guys are nothing like you think they are. Nothing. Not even a reasonable facsimile. But you want to adopt that because it's more close to your own weak personality. And one of the biggest errors that is made, and when we talk about how to pick the best board for you, not for me, is that you pick people that, even if they don't exactly look like you, they sound like you. If you don't raise your voice, you're going to pick all board members that don't raise their voice. And then you're just going to have a bunch of yous. And how's your fucking program worked out? It hasn't, right? But you're going to drift back to your default is, unfortunately, you. And if you do that, there's 2 or 3 of you that have a persona, let's say. They can make it. But that's why I say you got to get some fucking guys with some nuts on the board. You just do. Otherwise, it's going to be tough sledding. Otherwise, you're going to be atlas shrug, pushing that load of shit up and never getting to the top. And I tell you this because, to scare you, shame you, whatever the word is, so you do it right, or you do a reasonable facsimile of right, and so you're successful. And selfishly, so I can have some more numbers. I have to calculate all these numbers. I mean, there's not $200 million in these numbers they just sent me, so it's not a fucking rounding off decimal point for me, but we keep track of all of them. We keep track of all of them. What else about Mr. Balmer? Yes, sir.
The most important decisions involve hiring and firing people.
Human capital is the most important thing. And how you attract human capital and how you get rid of human capital. I learned from Onassis group a long time ago. It's not the people you fire, Mr. Peña. It's the people you don't fire that will ruin your business. Remember what the Viking bitch said? She was coming up with all these excuses not to fire the asshole. And even after he moved, his whole fucking family, less than 60 seconds to fire him because he knew he deserved to be fired. Now, even if I deserved to be fired, if I had moved my whole fucking family, I would have made more noise than that. Sometimes you're going to fire them, and I believe in firing in person, face to face. They're going to tell you, Peña's not going to be here to save you, asshole kid, and they'll get up and leave. Which is true, I'm not there to save you. And then you question whether you should have fired the fuck or not. And that's why he said it, or she said it. Because you can't keep your mouth shut. We'll talk about that tomorrow. How you can use my name or not use my name. Fact is, you can't use it. Nobody at the Bank of Montreal or Deutsche Bank or ING gives a fuck about Dan Peña you've been to this class. I can assure you, it will only detract from any possibility of you getting any fucking money. But that's the only thing you have. It will not help you get any board members. They will only shun you. I can tell everybody. I can tell how you thought you were going to use the QLA dogma once you leave here. And you will, you're still going to do it, but it's not going to work. When you read a book by Freud, and you use that rationale in part of your decision-making process, just say, Freud said. Maybe some of you do. You're fucking that stupid. So my name's not going to help you. What else about Ballmer? Yes, sir.
He says that conventional wisdom, like, fail forward, fail fast. He says that's bullshit. He says, you don't fail fast. You work at your fucking stuff until you make it work. You don't just give up at any obstacle.
Well, I don't agree with that 100%, but I know what he's talking about. Because, when the software engineers just engineers in general, a car would never leave the assembly line of any automobile manufacturer since the beginning of time if it was left to engineers. Because there's one more thing to fix. There's one more tweak. And so that's why you ask the engineering group, how long do we need? They say 9 months, you got 60 days. And somehow it gets done. How much is the project? My two favorite examples are the Obama healthcare platform, where all the systems engineers worked on it for months and months and months, and then it didn't work. And what not many people know that not he, but whoever was in charge of that, the outsourced it to 2 or 3 Canadian companies, all of which were black. Gee whiz, what a coincidence. And it didn't fucking work. And they paid $1 billion. For those of you that are coders, I could build a steel platform to the moon for less money. Forget a software platform. Siemens had a similar experience. Their platform only cost 600 or 700 million euros. It worked though, but you had to have a PhD from MIT in engineering to figure out how the fucking thing did work. What else about Mr. Ballmer? Yes, sir.
Be all in or be all out?
Well, you're all in or all out. And I was of the opinion, and still am, you're either with me or against me. And a lot of people weren't with me because I was too outrageous. But it's funny, the big money was with me. Arguably the smart money. But just because some group or entity has great resources and great access to money doesn't mean they're smart. The big and smart money that's been around a long, long time is smart because they've kept it through cycles. And a lot of the kids, internet scum billionaires, will see if they have their money in 20 years from now. And and I was wrong. Zuckerfucker has, but he surrounded himself with a lot of smart people, smarter than he is. He was smarter than the Twinklefuck twins that he stole the shit from. But Ballmer is an example, again, doesn't know anything about it, not dissimilar to Nick, tennis guy. He doesn't know why his system works. All he knows is that it works. And it's worked for several decades. And it will be one of the speed bumps you have to get over from the when you're picking your directors, and they once you get past, where's the money coming from? How do you know this fucking thing works? And you've been given, that means they haven't bought you. They haven't been sold on you. If you get asked those kinds of questions, and obviously the hunchback, he doesn't know why it works, does he? He believes, like the Word of God, like all these guys have said, that it works. Either that or I'm paying a lot of money to central casting and have people get up and lie. The $500 billion deal, Neom, is a lie. We got the Saudi, the Jordanian, and the Egyptian governments to lie. We got them to lie and do that prefix conference when Klaus was appointed CEO, to lie. And there's some nimrods out there that really think that QLA is a conspiracy. Now, we send kids to, I used to say, if you speak Farsi, Arabic, you go to Iran. I used to say, I don't say it anymore. And we had a Canadian guy, go to Iran. And he was buying shit up like a vacuum cleaner. Until he did a seller finance deal with some cousin of the Ayatollah Mafak, whatever the Ayatollah was then. And then he was his arrest, sentencing, and put in jail happened within 48 hours. He says, I can't remember whether the trial. He said I was comatose, probably because I was beaten so much, And he went to jail, and 6 months later, the Canadian government got him out of jail. And Ayatollah Mafak said the QLA was communistic. Doesn't matter. He could say it was whatever he said. Nobody's going to question him. And so we don't send people to. We sent a woman also, and I feel a little guilty about that one because this tub of shit was in jail. My excuse, your kind of excuse you would use. I didn't know he was in jail at the time. I should have known, but I didn't. And she went, and she's lucky she didn't get raped by every fucking person in Iran. And she's a lady lawyer who's now in New York. She's a private equity lawyer. But she went over because she was from that part of the world. I don't send you to Iran anymore. I don't send you to Iran. But this guy, he said, he got a letter out towards the end of his sentencing. He said, I had trouble. Would you hand it to me? I had trouble going to sleep at night, hearing men screaming and crying because of being raped. The first 3 or 4 months, he said, I had trouble going to sleep. And yes, thank you. Fortunately for him, he was 6'7", 290 pounds, about 10% body fat. He was the power lifter champion or something in Canada. And he says, everybody left me alone. And he said, but I had trouble falling asleep, hearing the screams. He laughed. He said, I used to complain about my kids crying at night. He said, I just hope I get home again. Anything else about Steve? Murph.
Similar to Jobs, he talked about being a two-trick pony instead of one. So they, for a tech company that big to change what they do twice, he said that's pretty remarkable. And I think Jobs did the same thing in a different way.
Yeah, and these guys, when they build these big dynasties, as they're called, nobody wants to be a one-trick pony. From my lips to your ears, I don't give a fuck if you're a one-trick pony. I will be so happy I won't know whether to shit or go blind. My prayers are for you to be a one-trick pony. Forget the fucking second trick. Because a one-trick pony will make you super rich and add numbers. You want to do it once. Everybody thought I was a one-trick pony, but they were wrong. Let's see, here's another email. There he is. This is his last contract he sold. Like, it's like they think I don't believe him. So they send me them signing the contract, which I find amusing. My most funniest, that's not a real word, but I had a black kid from, not Ethiopia, the one right above Ethiopia. And it's a French one, whatever, but it's an African country. And he said he had trouble doing it in Ethiopia. And so he moved to the UK. Only speaks French and Ethiopian and very little English. And it's on my website. And he's about a 6'5" black guy. And he's sitting at a table signing the first contract. Doesn't even speak fucking English. Not much different than Hunchback. But for those of you that don't follow, and you're going to get an outline that if in 60 days you haven't done a deal, you should blow your brains out. I think it's 10 days for a board, 10 different, and it gives you an outline. And Thomas alluded to it when he said, when I fell behind, but then I caught up. Remember he said that? And but that's when it was 90 days. We've changed it to 60 days. We should now change it to probably 45 days or 30 days because we got guys doing deals in, weeks. And it's like the 4-minute mile. When Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, they said that no human could run that fast. Okay? After Roger broke the, in 1954, I think, or 3, a bunch of people broke the 4-minute mile. And Laszlo Tribori was the third guy to break the 4-minute mile, who was my running coach. I should have been coached by him, but I talked him into it. I used to go on the slow days. And Mickey Gorman, who was a world-class runner, who I befriended, who won the Boston Marathon, New York Marathon, used to hold the world record. I used to go to her, and Laszlo would say, Peña, I thought you weren't going to be here today. No, Mickey picked me up late, and they hated me being there. But I was you know how when you run intervals, I was the slow. You'd run 220 sprint, and then you'd run slow the curve. I used to run the curves with all these guys, and they were still fast for me. But I went to the best. You don't have to explain about Laszlo Tribori. Just as Nick gave private tennis lessons as well. He still does. I'm told he can barely get around the court now. Okay, anything else about Steve? Yes, sir.
Question, do you have 2 pony tricks on the Hall of Fame? Do you have 2 pony tricks on the Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Let's see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. We have 10. 2 pony tricks. We have 1 3-pony trick. No Dutchman. We got a minus pony trick, Dutchman, a couple minus pony trick. Anything else about Steve? Yes, sir.
You said the most important part, you have to have an idea, a great idea, can generate money and work hard on that.
Yeah, but you don't have, it doesn't have to be a great idea. You know, Microsoft and Apple and have come up with ideas that weren't great. Their selling, marketing was the thing that was fucking great. And their products caught up with their marketing. In the beginning, a lot of the shit didn't work. And you had to be reasonably sophisticated to understand it didn't work. I wasn't one of the ones that was reasonably sophisticated that didn't understand it didn't work. But the real thing that all these guys have is they want to succeed. There's something within them that drives them whether it was child abuse or they made fun of you or you stuttered or whatever the fuck it was, or you had your eyes weren't set right in your head, or you had different color, or your two eyes were different colors, or whatever, or you were a hunchback. Something drove them. And now, I mean, in the last generation and a half, the kids have so little self-worth, you can't even shame them. It's tough to shame them into doing shit. It's quite remarkable. And I've seen unfortunately, I've seen the change in the last 28 plus years. I've seen the change. I've got a Asian, very famous Asian guy who's, you know his name, Mentee. He has fought all kinds of afflictions, and he's a multi-billionaire in China. And he did it because he thought he shamed his family because of the way he looked, the way he was born, how he looks. But the way he fucking thinks is, is the antithesis of how he looks, because he's a super, super, super genius type guy, rocket scientist. He's made a lot of money. But you have to, whatever you find, and some people don't find anything. I don't want to be disingenuous and lie to you. Some people don't ever find that little thread or that little hook to hang your hat on. And some people can't ever get over the fact that they don't think well of themselves. But you will feel better, but you may not ever feel really, good about yourself. And that's why the therapy about being molested and shit like that doesn't work. Doesn't work. As the black bitch. Oh, by the way, one of these guys said, "Say hello to Murph." I just thought of that. Wait a minute. Excuse me for interrupting, but I just thought of that. Say hi to Murph for me. Now, what the fuck? Who's this guy? I didn't even look at his name. Vito Abora. You know him? Was he in your deal? Says, say hello to Murph. Say hi to Murph for me. You're famous, Murph. It's like the black girl who said, all it takes is a guy to look at me a certain way, or when she doesn't like to say having sex. Man, I'm making love, and then all he has to do is move a certain way to remind me. You never forget it. I will never forget. Shitting my pants in the closet. Never. If I live to be 150, I will never forget being in the closet and feeling the shit run down the back of my leg. Never. When I take a shit now, if I have runny shit and it's not a full whatever, I think of that. I can be 500 years old. I'm never going to forget that. There's something in your lives that you will never forget. You may be keeping it on a subconscious level. I'll never forget that. The beatings, fuck. You can beat me all day. And then my mother with shit down, coming out my pant legs. My mother walking me to the car. Is that what drives me? Maybe. But I don't care if that's the why. Okay, anything else about Steve before we move on? Okay, I want slide 19, whatever it is, the one I want. We're going to talk about goals and affirmations. And you can work on the goals during the day, during the break or during lunchtime, but they're due tomorrow morning. I showed you the first slide. Is that a coincidence that, I have a very similar estate to Skibo, to Andrew Carnegie. And by the way, when I started over the years, I didn't know that Andrew Carnegie was a less than amicable person when I first started all this. When I was on Wall Street, and I found out how I mimicked how he did deals. When I had clients, both high net worth individuals or corporate clients, they wanted to have the least amount of exposure, to use the least amount of their own money, to have the most leverage for the highest returns. That's what they told me. Of course, they told all the young guys coming on Wall Street that. But what they did, all the young guys took the easy way out, and they just normally used institutional research. They sold the shit that the big Goldman Sachs's and Merrill Lynch's wanted them to. And but I didn't. So I searched around, and then I found Mr. Carnegie, and that how he was diluted very, very little through equity injections from other people. Very little, Of all the deals, he was diluted less than 5% of all the transactions he did. And that's saying something. Well, then, where was he getting the fucking money? Debt. Or as the Europeans would say, debt. Do you Europeans know why you say debt instead of debt? You say debt. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Anyway, so I found, and then I tested it with 2 or 3 deals, and the results were phenomenal. The ROIs were astronomical. And the clients loved me, okay? They loved me anyway because I was a great bullshit artist and, great salesman. And, I should have been Irish. There used to be an Irish bar down on Wall Street, and they always used to say that, they all call me Danny, by the way, because that's more of an Irish name. And so, but anyway, and when I left the Wall Street firm and I went to work for one of our biggest corporate clients, which is all on YouTube. He was Irish, a drunk Irish named Kennedy. Not anything to do with the Kennedys, but he was a drunk Kennedy. And his older brother was named John Wayne Kennedy. John Wayne Kennedy. And coincidentally, he had broken his neck and broken his back, and he had a hunchback. I hadn't thought of this in a long time. John Wayne Kennedy had a hunchback with a broken neck, and he looked kind of like in the movie Frankenstein. You know how he's got that neck like this? That's what he looked like. And so we made a shit ton of money, and they asked me what. I was president of one of the subsidiaries, and the subsidiary that I was a president of outperformed all the other 9 companies, cumulatively. And so the Kennedy family, as it were, they were all drunken Irish swines, no education, all pig fuckers, every one of them, said, well, how are we doing this? And I showed him the Kennedy thing. And so then I became the CEO of the big holding company, yada, yada. Okay. But for the same reason Carnegie used it, I used it, because one, you didn't have to have any money. And rich people, if you show them a method to where you have no money and you can still make a lot of money, they even love you more. Because most rich people have been trained to use their money to make money, not use other people's money to make money. Everybody follow me? Okay. So I became, the flavor of the day, so to speak. And I did all the crazy shit kids do, and that's why I know the younger kids, not the old goats in here, are going to do crazy shit, because I did it. And I'm not saying you should do it, but I understand why you do it. That I understand why, because I actually did it. Some of the psycho things I did. And I had goals, but I didn't have affirmations in the beginning. I had goals. And if you make enough money, you can make shit happen. And I associated it with hard work, and hard work. That's all I associated with. And later on, I met Jim Ryan, the famous miler who never won a gold medal at the Olympics. He fell down in the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. Fell. I think he got a silver medal. And he talked about affirmations and goals, and he could see himself over the years since he was a little boy. And then I started studying what affirmations would do. And now after that time, John Elway saw himself winning the Super Bowl in overtime. But he won the third Super Bowl he played in, not the first two. So I realized I met other people and how athletes have been using affirmations with their goal setting, etc., for 150 years or 200 years, or since the first Olympiad, 2,000 years ago. So I figured to myself, especially because I'm not athletic, if it's good enough for gold medal people. I also met the shot putter from Texas A&M that won the '68 Olympics in shot put. And they all did the same thing. And they all had gold medals, except for Ryan. Well, fuck, this must work. Just as you're supposed to think, you saw all these hunchbacks, and they all got fucking filthy rich. And it wasn't by accident. It can't be by serendipity because there's thousands of them. But that's not how you think. But anyway, that's the plan. That was the plan. Man plans, God laughs. Okay? I thought I had the perfect mousetrap. Anyway, so I started setting goals and affirmations, and shit just started happening like crazy. And even though I've been thrown out of 3 companies I founded because just because of my personality, I guess. I don't guess. I know it's because of my personality. I'm not trying to make excuses for it. So in April of 1983, I'm running down Torrance Boulevard in Los Angeles. I used to run 20 miles on every Saturday. This was when I was in my running mode. And I had just seen a magazine called Rob Report, which I recommend you all subscribe to. The Rob Report, R-O-B-B Report. Now there's 5 different editions of the Rob Report, but then there was only 1 edition. So I opened it up to the inside, the inside cover, and they had things for sale. Ferraris, jet planes, and a castle on an island. And I said, well, fuck. And I wanted to leave America because I wanted to get away from my family. Because I had made a lot of money with the familia, although they never hurt me. But I felt Mexican guilt because I didn't attend certain things. And I decided then and there that I was going to buy a castle on an island. Now, that was April of '83. Now, the castle and the island that I saw in my mind wasn't this island that we're on, Great Britain. It was a castle similar to this. But I thought I was going to be on an island on the west or east coast of Britain, how you see in the James Bond movies and bullshit. So that's how all this started. Okay, YouTube, goodbye.